Okay, welcome back from break, everyone. Thank you so much. We are so delighted to have this next session about the sibling experience, something that is so important to discuss and to share and to communicate about. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Abby Turnwald, who will be talking to us about her research in the sibling experience of individuals with neurodevelopmental challenges, and then we will have a lovely sibling panel for our siblings to talk about their experiences. So please welcome Abby.
Hi everyone, I wanted to thank JdVS for having me and for everyone for being here to listen to the sibling experience. So I'm Abby, and I'll share a little bit about myself before we get into it. So I am not a sibling, but I work as a genetic counselor and then do respite care as well. So I've worked with a lot of different families and saw a gap in the need for resources and support for the siblings. So I've worked a lot to try to close that gap as much as possible through research, volunteering, and creating new resources. And so this talk will be a combination of my research and others' research as well. Before I get started, I just wanted to acknowledge how hard it is to be a parent to multiple children and having a child with a rare disease. And so this talk is in no way meant to talk about your parenting style or parenting skills. It's hopefully just going to provide some additional insight and information. So being a sibling to someone with a rare disease is really complex. So this word cloud is a lot of different words we hear siblings share. Caretaker being a big one, a lot of different emotions, both positive and negative. We hear things like loneliness, grief, but also happiness and pride. And so what I want to talk about is some common topics we see in sibling research, how we can address these topics and support siblings, and then we're going to have a great sibling panel share about their experiences as well. So starting off with information, what we found is that siblings start seeking information at a really young age. And so in a study we did, 38% of siblings with genetic conditions had questions about the condition, and then 81% of siblings wanted to learn more. So even if siblings didn't have questions, they still wanted to learn more about the condition. And this is as young as 7, but there's likely siblings younger as well. What we know is that siblings really see the symptoms that happen on a day-to-day basis, but they often lack information on how the symptoms might progress over time, if other symptoms will come up, why the symptoms are happening, what the future might look like, and how to talk with others about the diagnosis. So siblings lack more information on those more abstract concepts and things that they can't see. And so when we ask siblings what questions they have, we get a lot of questions about the cause. So things like, why does she even have it? Why does she make sounds instead of words? Why does he sometimes grab at me? So if you think of any symptom that your child experiences and throw the word why in front, the sibling probably has a question about it. And then we get questions about symptoms as well. The first is one of my favorite questions. So how does her mind function? How does she process all her information? So siblings might be wondering what is going on in their mind, what are they thinking? And we might not have a great answer to that question. However, it's something that we can talk through and think about as well. And then, is there a way to help him learn to speak? So we get a lot of questions about helping. Siblings want to be helpers from really young ages, but they might not know how to help. So we see a lot of questions about what can I do? And then, of course, the future. So that's a big topic that siblings have questions about. And they start to recognize that things might look different in the future at a younger age. And they are not often sure what that future might look like, but they're wanting to know. So things like, should I be worried about their well-being? Can they live independently? Will I be responsible for taking care of her when we're older? And then will the disability go away or get worse or just stay the same? So a lot of questions about what the future might look like. So if anyone's willing to share, has anyone been asked a question by their sibling or by their child before, something that's kind of come out of the blue or surprised you? Anyone want to share? Oh, interesting. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And so we know there's a lot of questions, and we asked parents, what are the most difficult topics? What are things that are hard to talk about with the sibling? One thing we heard a lot was differences in attention. So parents found it hard to talk to the sibling about sometimes they won't get as much attention as the sibling with the rare disease. The future caregiving needs, we found this a lot, and while caregiving looks different and in different capacities for everyone, especially with JdVS, parents are often worried about that and worried about what's going to happen in the future. And then the permanency of the condition, especially in our younger siblings, they often think that they might grow out of things or they might just catch up completely, and so parents found it hard to talk about that some aspects of the condition will stay the same for their entire life. And what we found is that, again, siblings are seeking information, and what happens when they don't have that information? We know they might develop misconceptions. So in one study, we had 3 siblings think that they could get the genetic condition, whether that was it was contagious or they just haven't had symptoms yet. 3 siblings thought that they would get that condition. And then this is a quote that a sibling just thought the condition happened in a different way than it did. It was genetic, but they were attributing it to more environmental factors. And then when siblings don't have information, they might not be able to talk to friends, family, strangers, others who ask questions about the diagnosis. 72% of siblings kids of genetic conditions reported that their friends have questions, and 39% said they only sometimes have answers to those questions. So questions like, why does your sister act like she's 6 even though she's 10? What's wrong with your sister? Why is your brother weird? So siblings are getting these questions typically starting around school age, so 5 and up. People are asking questions, people are staring, and if siblings don't know how to respond, they might feel embarrassed, they might feel worried, sad. They can have a lot of negative emotions if they don't know how to respond or how to cope when they're getting these types of questions. And what we know is that when siblings have information, they can answer these questions, they can talk to others, they might actually have a closer relationship with their sibling with the rare disease. And then it can also help with more positive emotional adjustment, adaptive coping, and then an overall better sibling relationship. And so then just talking about the emotional aspects that come for siblings, they feel a lot of different emotions, and these come and go throughout their life. They change, they become more complex. You'll see embarrassed really big. That's one we hear a lot. The siblings feel embarrassed, mad, worried, jealous, guilt. And a lot of parents talk about going through periods of grief themselves when they learn about a new diagnosis, but siblings can have that as well. So they might have that grief that goes along with what they were expecting their sibling relationship to be like. And so just knowing and recognizing these emotions happen and they can change throughout life. And then one thing we know is that our siblings are so great and they're so mature, they grow up so quickly, and one thing they know from a young age is they don't want to burden their parents. They don't want to add something extra to their cup. And so they often hold in these negative emotions and they don't let them show. And I think a lot of people know what happens if you hold in a lot of those negative emotions, they come out at some point in some way. And so for our siblings, if they're holding in these negative emotions, they can come out in a lot of different ways, whether that's acting out, not performing well in school. And so there can be a lot of consequences to having and holding in these negative emotions. And then we do know that overall, siblings of individuals with disabilities have a higher rate of mental health diagnoses. And then the last topic I wanted to touch on is the attention. And so a lot of parents report that it's difficult to provide that equal attention. You have therapy appointments, doctor's appointments, things just can't be necessarily equal. And for siblings, that can feel hard for them, especially if they don't understand why it's not equal. They're often jealous, and they're really craving that one-on-one attention if they're not getting it. So then just giving some information on how to address these topics. So we talked about a lot of different aspects. But how do we help with this need for information and siblings craving information? What we know as parents, when you're getting a diagnosis, you might not be ready to talk to siblings yet, but siblings are going to start having questions. They're going to notice things are different. And so some easy ways to start: children's books on inclusion or disability. There might not be a specific children's book that is tailored to quite your needs, but there's a lot of children's books coming out. So if you can start talking about disability just through children's books, it can help siblings a lot. And then just knowing it doesn't have to be a one-time sit-down conversation. It doesn't have to be like you were when you sit down and you say your sibling has this. It can be little pieces of information over time, and those conversations are going to change as the sibling gets older. And then just making sure you're providing an open, safe environment, letting siblings know that no question is a bad question. I'll be hanging out with a lot of the siblings after this, and we always let them know that it's okay to say negative things. It's okay to say that to parents. You probably don't want to say it in front of your sibling with JdVS, but it's okay to have a safe space to express those negative emotions. Maybe your sibling embarrassed you or you were annoyed. Just let them know that there's appropriate places to express those concerns or ask questions. And then utilize others to help the process. If your child's in therapy, let the sibling be part of therapy. Ask the physical therapist if they can help with an activity, or if the physical therapist can explain what's going on. One of the families I do respite for, the sibling was really upset because she saw a climbing gym and she saw all this fun stuff at the therapy office, and she was upset that she couldn't go and she couldn't have fun there. And so it was a conversation of, well, they're working and they're doing certain things at therapy. So letting siblings be part of that process. And then if you're going to doctor's appointments, and especially our older siblings, letting them ask questions, letting them brainstorm and ask the doctors things as well. And then mental health counselors, you don't have to have a mental health diagnosis to go to a therapist or a play therapist. Those can be really helpful for our siblings. And so some advice that parents have given: follow the child's lead on the questions they are asking. Usually they are not asking for an in-depth answer like we think they are, but more of a simple answer. Be honest and age appropriate. Allow questions and conversations, even if it's hard for the parents to answer or talk about. I think that's a key too. For parents, things might feel uncomfortable. You might not know how to answer a question. Siblings might ask questions while you're driving or at the grocery store, or just not at an ideal time. But figuring out a way to say, that's a good question, we'll answer that later. We'll ask the doctor later. We'll Google it. But just acknowledging that things are good questions and not dismissing them. And then for the emotional piece, I'm often talking to families that it's okay as a parent to let your child see your emotions sometimes, to let them know it's okay to have emotions, it's okay to have these feelings. They don't have to hide them, and they might feel better knowing that you're stressed or worried or embarrassed too. And then again, counseling can be a really good tool for our siblings as well. And then seeking opportunities, so being here and allowing siblings to connect with other siblings. In your hometowns, you might be able to find sibling support groups, things at local hospitals, just opportunities for siblings to connect with others who get it and get what they're going through on their journey. And so some more parent advice: let the siblings say anything they feel, also bad things. Let everything be okay to say to adults and parents. I think it's important to be open and honest with kids, allowing them to see your full range of emotions and how you cope with the tough ones. Validate the range of emotions that the siblings might experience during the discussion, and recognize that those emotions might vary in the months and years to come. And then the attention piece, one of the hardest pieces. Just finding that one-on-one time to spend with your children without JdVS, whether it's taking that downtime during a therapy appointment, maybe pulling them out of school half an hour or an hour early before their sibling gets out to spend some one-on-one time with them. Just finding ways to involve them and give them opportunities to be with parents without their sibling as well. So I know that's a lot of the ways that siblings can be impacted, but there are a lot of positives as well to having a sibling with a disability. When we ask siblings to share about their sibling with a rare disease, they often solely talk about the positives. So this is a word cloud made from siblings when we said, tell us about your sibling with a genetic condition, and you'll see these are all positive words. Their siblings are happy, they're proud of them, they're awesome. And so siblings really view the individual with a disability in a positive light. And then just some quotes from adult siblings. She has taught me how to love unconditionally, how to put another's happiness above my own, that the most important things in life are people, not things. Wow, where to begin? He has taught me to appreciate, to value, to live life to the fullest, and the true meaning of being grateful. The career that I want to do is primarily dedicated through my brother. A harder upbringing than some makes you more empathetic and understanding to others who might have problems. It has given me some skills that I otherwise may not have had. And so while siblings are impacted in a lot of ways, there are a lot of positives as well. So takeaways: siblings have questions starting at a really young age. I'd say that 5, that school age, is when they typically start to have questions, especially when they see other families that maybe aren't quite like theirs. And then siblings can experience intense emotions. Even our youngest of siblings have a lot of emotions that they feel, and they need support to learn to cope with those emotions. And then they crave attention, and they realize that they might not be able to get as much attention as their sibling, but they still crave that one-on-one attention. And then you're not alone, so utilizing others, the JdVS Foundation, and being here, counselors, therapists, healthcare providers, using others to help your sibling's journey as well. So with that, I want to invite the sibling panel on stage. One more chair. All right, can we give a round of applause for an amazing sibling panel who's going to share? We just have a few pre-planned questions for them, so they're going to share, and then we'll give the audience a few minutes if you have any questions for them or myself as well. So I'll start at this end. I'll just have you guys tell me about yourself, how old you are, where you live, and then anything else you want to share.
Hi everyone, I'm Cara and I'm studying, I just finished my first year at the University of Surrey in London. Thank you. I'm studying accounting and finance, and my favourite thing, I play hockey, so I really enjoy that.
Hello everyone, I'm Amy, I'm the sibling of Ben, and I go to school in Woldingham. I just did my A-levels, and I'm hoping to go to uni in September. I love to bake, and, I'm 18.
Hi everyone, I'm Lila, I'm 11 years old. I'm the sibling of Theo, and I spend most of my time at the gym because I'm a gymnast.
Hi guys, my name's Leanne. I'm 18. I'm Daniel's big sister, and I spend most of my time working. I sell knives. It's pretty cool.
Hi, I'm Jackson. I'm 12. I am the older brother of Sean, and I like to play baseball.
Thank you. So I'm going to go to the next question, and we'll just keep the applause till the very end so we can get through some questions as well. So tell us a bit about your siblings so you can share their age and what they enjoy doing.
So we both have the same sibling, Ben. He's 15 and he loves being outside, so he loves like biking,
Playing football in the garden.
just being in the garden 24/7 really.
So Theo's 9. He enjoys butterflies, bees. He's like a bee whisperer. He can talk to them. They don't sting him very often. He loves catching them and he likes keeping them in our porch, and they fly up to my room. Yeah, so I have wasps and bees in my room, and I believe there's a nest somewhere. So.
Yeah, Daniel's 16. He really likes walking. He's out in the neighborhood bugging everybody all the time. He likes playing video games. Anything with cars is a big hit for him. He loves cars. And yeah, he's pretty cool.
Sean loves to look for bugs, and I'm not a big fan of it, and he'll just go digging through our garden trying to find bugs, and when he does, he's like, Jackson, hold it, and I'm like, no. And he brings them in the house, and I'm like, take the worm back outside. It does not belong in the house. So he's fun, but loves bugs, and I don't like them.
So we're seeing a lot of common themes up here with bugs and bees and worms. So if you guys want to share, what is one of the best parts about having a sibling with JdVS?
Well, he's always really happy all the time, so I'll go for a walk with him in the woods near our house with our dog Tilly, and he'll just go up to every man and his dog, and he'll ask questions. What's their name? What's the dog's name? What breed is the dog? Every question possible.
Yeah, he's extremely confident, and yeah, he'll literally just talk to anyone, so it's quite nice. Yeah.
Literally is the same as them. He loves dogs and cats. Do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? So it's just all of that, and he's really friendly. He'll talk to anyone. He's not shy, so I just like that.
I think my favorite thing is learning from him, like all the things that he's taught me and that I've watched him do. Just things that I wouldn't have learned on my own if I didn't have him. Like, I definitely would not have the patience that I have now. He's taught me a lot of that. But yeah, just his energy.
I think Sean just brings all the happiness to my life. He when I'm upset, he's just always there, and he's smiling, trying to make me feel better. And I think that's my favorite part of having a brother of JdVS.
Thank you. So we know there's a lot of positive aspects, but we do want the siblings to be able to share things that have been hard for them as well. So feel comfortable sharing as much as you'd like. What is one of the hardest things about having a sibling with JdVS?
When his anxiety kicks in, it's kind of hard to deal with it. So you need a lot of patience and just being able to like calm him down, get him in the right like mindset to then be able to express his emotions. I find that quite difficult, but getting there.
Yeah, sometimes when like it's the evenings and we're just trying to relax, he's always like asking like us to play with him and to do stuff. So I find that quite hard when I just want to relax and he wants to still, play.
I think the headaches are really hard. I feel like when he gets them, sometimes they get to the point where both of my parents have to stay there. And so then I can't really do anything because I can't drive. So I just have to sit there, and that can be frustrating. It can also be embarrassing because he talks to everyone. I'm not like shy, but I'm not like open to talk to everyone. And sometimes they can get offended, and I feel because he says things maybe he knows he shouldn't. So then that embarrasses me, and it can be awkward.
I think accepting that I had a sibling with JdVS was the hardest part for me. Because growing up, I would see all my friends with their siblings, and they had like the best relationship ever. And then I'm here with this little kid who screams and cusses and cries. And a regular 5-year-old shouldn't be able to do that. But I think it took me about 5 years to fully accept and go through all the stages of like denial, depression, everything. But I mean, I feel like as I grew up, I realized like this is something that I was given by God. Like he wouldn't give me something that I can't handle, you know? So I think that was the hardest part, is just accepting like this is my little brother. I have a brother. It's not like I don't have a sibling. He's just a little more special.
I think the hardest part for me is probably when we're in public and he just doesn't get what he wants and he starts flopping on the floor, crying, and he just won't leave. And that just embarrasses me because like I try and walk away like he's not my brother but it's just accepting that he's not perfect and that he has trouble controlling his emotions. So that was the hardest part for me.
Thank you. And then we'll do one final question for our panel, and then we'll have a few minutes if anyone has questions for them. What do you wish that other people knew about having a sibling with JdVS? So maybe your friends, classmates, your aunts, uncles. What do you wish they knew about being a sibling?
That they're completely non-judgmental, so he'll literally talk to anyone. And I wish like everyone would know that and not just be like, oh, why is he talking to me? So just, being able to hold a conversation with them, no matter any reason.
Yeah, well, I feel like people know this, but when you never have a dull day with a JdVS champion, like there's always
Something going on.
Yeah, there's always something going on. You always have, it's always exciting and yeah.
I don't think they understand how it takes a lot of patience. I feel like I have more patience than most people, but I also think they don't understand how like happy it can be. Like he's just so friendly, and most siblings, they fight, they do all of that. I don't feel like we really fight that much.
I wish they knew that it's not all just rainbows and butterflies. Like all my friends meet him and they're like, oh my gosh, he's the sweetest guy ever. And I'm like, you don't know him. You haven't seen him behind closed doors. But yeah, I just wish they knew that it's not just smiles and hugs and kisses all the time, because there are times where I just feel like you don't really understand unless you live with him and you see all the stages of his days. So that's my part.
I wish like everyone knew that it's like there's ups are really high and the downs are really down, and that it's like there's no middle between, like it's either he's really happy or he's really sad. There's like no like middle stage for him.
Thank you all so much for sharing your experiences. Can we give a big round of applause to all our siblings? And I think we have a minute for a question or two. If anyone has a question for myself or the sibling panel, feel free to probably stand up because we can't see that well.
Evan's going to bring the mic around if there's questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deal with situations where someone is being unkind to their sibling with JdVS.
Anyone want to take an answer to that? What do you do when people are mean to your siblings?
Well, I learned that I think it was a year ago, that like he can't stand up for himself. He doesn't know when someone's being mean to him or is disrespecting him, and you kind of have to stick up for him and say that's not right or remove him from the situation.
I can piggyback off of that. I remember I was at a carnival for school, and this grown man brought his little boy to the school, and he was playing laser tag, and Daniel walked up to the little boy, start talking to him. The grown man was like, "Get away from my kid." And Daniel was like, "No, I'm going to talk to this boy." And the guy was like, "Are we going to have a problem?" And Daniel says, "Yes." So then I obviously had to go step in because this grown man is trying to fight my little brother. So I was like, hey, he's not all there, you know, like he has a disability. So, yeah.
Anyone else want to share? All right. If you're joining me and my friend Rachel for the sibling programming, we'll meet just right out here to walk over to the room we're at, and we'll have them till lunch. We'll come back for lunch, and then we'll hang out again